Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
Zhou Zhou looked at the loot's notification in front of him and smiled. 150% of the additional loots dropped was awesome. In the future, the soldier-type recruitment books he obtained from the Monster Ranch would greatly increase because of the 150% additional loots. Then, he looked at the special loots he had obtained this time. It was a palm-sized puppet. It looked like the violent storm demon spirit lord. A text notification appeared. Treasure name: Violent Storm Demon Spirit Lord Puppet. Treasure grade: Diamond Tier Intermediate grade. Treasure effect: after the blood recognition, you can obtain the loyalty of a Violent Storm Demon Spirit Lord with Diamond Tier Intermediate grade strength. This Violent Storm Demon Spirit Lord had talents: Wind and Thunder Demon Body, Talent, Elemental Body, Kingdom Level Battle Skill, Death Storm, Diamond Tier Intermediate grade, Controlling Wind Spirit, Diamond Tier Intermediate grade, Controlling Thunder Spirit, Diamond Tier Intermediate grade, Wind Whisperer, Diamond Tier Intermediate grade, Instant Thunder, Extraordinary Tier Physics Damage Immunity, 80% Awakening, Diamond Tier Elemental Damage Immunity, 100% Awakening, and other abilities. Not only is it powerful and loyal to its master, it will automatically recover to the form of a puppet when more than half of its body is destroyed. At the same time, it will begin to absorb elemental energy to heal itself until it completely recovers and can fight again. Current maximum number of self-repairs of the Violent Storm Demon Spirit Lord Puppet, 10/10. Prompt: with the enhancement of your scavenger talent, the current maximum number of self-repairs of the Violent Storm Demon Spirit Lord Puppet has increased to 2020. Treasure description: it was dropped by a Violent Storm Demon Spirit Lord after its death. It was condensed under a magical power. It's a good protective treasure. Not a bad protective treasure. Zhou Zhou clicked his tongue in wonder. Then, he put it into his spatial ring. Now that he was already at the Diamond Tier Intermediate grade, with a series of skills and treasures, he could even defeat Extraordinary Tier experts. Naturally, he did not need a Diamond Tier Intermediate grade bodyguard to be his burden. He would give it to Linger or Xiaoxin later. The two of them should need this. Zhou Zhou thought, if I kill another Violent Storm Demon Spirit Lord tomorrow, will I get the same spoils of war? He muttered. It was a pity that the lucky star had used up all its usages today. He could no longer verify his thoughts. I'll have to worry about that next time. At this moment, Bai Yun walked over quickly from afar and arrived in front of Zhou Zhou. I've something to report, my lord. All the soldiers have passed the triumphal arch, and their strength has been promoted again. In addition, the Lords of the Star Alliance have brought 20% of their Insight defection soldiers to us. I've already integrated them into the monster army. This is the list of spoils of war and the soldiers' strength. Bai Yun said respectfully and handed the two lists to Zhou Zhou at the same time. Zhou Zhou took it and looked at them. Today, they had eliminated a total of 3,873 Lord factions and more than 525/22.73 million enemies of the people of foreign races. With the enhancement of the King of Loots and the title of the Strongest Lord, he obtained a total of loots: 126 green bronze tier territory tokens, 43 white silver tier territory tokens, 15 yellow gold tier territory tokens, 4 white platinum tier territory tokens, 96 diamond tier mist cores, 201,250 white platinum tier mist cores, 20,279,950 yellow gold tier mist cores, 51,501,700 white silver tier mist cores, and 80,547,780 green bronze tier mist cores. 40,121,100 skill books and 62,000,7160 equipment. Basic materials: 18.592 billion units. 27,885 green bronze tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragments. 6 mythical tier unique Lord Talent Crystal Fragments. This was the list of loots. Zhou Zhou was looking at the soldiers' promotion list. After the Lords of the Star Alliance sent over 20% of the Insight Defections troops, which was 832,322 monster soldiers, Zhou Zhou's current troops officially broke through to 2,457,903. In today's final battlefield, a total of 1,811,541 soldiers had broken through. After that, he went through the Triumphal Arch again, and the number of soldiers who broke through directly reached 2.1 million, 1,360. They were just short of 300,000 soldiers to reach the level of everyone's advancement. Among the soldiers under his command, there were 451,098 Black Iron Tier soldiers, 481,574 Green Bronze Tier soldiers, 505,200 White Silver Tier soldiers, 427,354 Yellow Gold Tier soldiers, 351,176 White Platinum Tier soldiers, 237,960 Diamond Tier soldiers, 3,541 Extraordinary Tier soldiers. In the end, Wu Xian had broken through to the Extraordinary Tier Advanced grade. Bai Yun had broken through to Diamond Tier Elementary grade. Nazario had broken through to Diamond Tier Elementary grade. Soul Reaper Maris had broken through to Diamond Tier Elementary grade. Spectral Dragon Auguste had broken through to White Platinum Tier Advanced grade. Feng Luo had broken through to Extraordinary Tier Intermediate grade. Zhou Zhou nodded in satisfaction. Today, they had gained a lot from the final battlefield. In particular, he obtained more than 27,000 Lord Talent Crystals. If this was the real world, there would not be so many hostile lords of the people of foreign races that he could kill like this. Unfortunately, the final battlefield will be closed from tomorrow onwards. Otherwise, I wouldn't have to worry about the lack of Lord Talent Crystal fragments. Zhou Zhou felt that it was a pity. Then, he suddenly thought of something and looked at the myriad races Lord Battlefield. In the end, he accidentally discovered that this activity option still existed. It only showed that it was under maintenance. Maintenance? Zhou Zhou was stunned. Stunned. Maintaining what? Couldn't he just remove it? Could it be the Supreme will wanted to change this event and leave it behind? Zhou Zhou suddenly thought of this possibility. It seemed that it was not impossible. If this function did not affect reality, staying behind to entertain or train the army's combat ability was not bad after all. He did not think too much about it. Instead, he set up a transaction at the marketplace. Then, he took out 30 million skill books and 50 million equipment from these loots and placed them in this transaction. Finally, the release was confirmed. Soon, the Lords of Cerulean Planet discovered this transaction and quickly pushed it to the top of the transaction browsing list. As for the Lord's reactions and other matters, Zhou Zhou did not care. He only hoped that these skill books and equipment could be sold for a good price. My lord. Gold Merchant Lord and the rest brought over 200 different types of fog monsters today. Do you want to take a look? When Bai Yun saw that her lord seemed to have settled his own matters, she spoke respectfully. Tell them to wait a moment. I'll be there soon. After which, Zhou Zhou came to the Triumphal Arch and walked through it without hesitation. Boom. A surging but gentle energy was immediately born out of thin air in his heart. Then, it surged to various parts of his body, strengthening his body and soul. After a while, Zhou Zhou recovered from the feeling of breaking through. He sensed the situation in his body and smiled. Diamond Tier Advanced grade. He had finally exhausted the medicinal power of the Calamity Crossing Spirit Pill. In the future, he would have to recover to that slow advancement speed. Zhou Zhou still felt a little melancholic. He was really not used to suddenly changing back after experiencing the feeling of leveling up quickly. However, he quickly adjusted his mood and walked quickly towards the alliance members with Bai Yun. In an empty space in Blazing Sun City, Linger, Nong Chenglin, Green Phoenix Lord, Gold Merchant Lord, Paper Immortal Lord, and 312 other alliance masters were gathered here. Not far away from them, there were more than 200 cages containing more than 200 fog monsters of different races. At this moment, his lordship is here. I wonder if the monster I brought this time will be chosen by the Lord? Haha, the fog monster I brought will definitely be chosen by the Lord. I won't be polite with the reward this time. You're that confident? Just a little, huh? Everyone chatted and laughed. Soon, Zhou Zhou came in front of everyone. Greetings, Alliance Master, X312. No one knew who started it first, but everyone shouted in unison. Zhou Zhou could not help but be stunned. Then, he chuckled. Good evening, everyone. Sorry to keep you waiting. I got caught up in something just now. This little bit of time is nothing. That's right. The Myriad Races Lord Battlefield event has just ended. We don't have anything else now, but we have a lot of time. My lord, we've brought all the fog monsters you wanted. Are you satisfied with them? Zhou Zhou smiled when he saw this. Then, his gaze landed on the 200-odd fog monsters. To be precise, there were 213 fog monsters. He did not waste anyone's time and walked over to take a look. The first monster was a robust creature with black and purple patterns all over its body. It also had 2 pairs of purple eyes. Monster name: Purple-Eyed Demon Leopard. Strength level: White Silver Tier Intermediate Grade. Monster description: a fog monster in the wilderness plains. It is good at hiding and hunting. It is extremely fast and has night vision. It also has spirit-type abilities. It is a merciless hunter at night. Loot's drop rate: 4 white silver tier mist cores, drop rate 100%, 1 black iron tier advanced grade skill book, Eye of the Night, 1 white silver tier intermediate grade skill book, Purple Shadow Pursuit, drop rate 8%, 1 white silver tier intermediate grade skill book, Purple Eye of Enchantment, drop rate 7%, 1 true faith tier scarlet crystals, drop rate 1%. Zhou Zhou killed it and looked at the specific information of the loots. In the end, he shook his head. The skills of this purple-eyed demon leopard were not bad, but they were too normal and did not have any special characteristics. They did not meet the standards to be reared in the monster ranches. The Eye of the Night could barely be considered a special ability. As his soldiers gradually increased their strength, they would naturally master this night vision ability. There was no need to master this additional skill at all. In addition, through the spoils of war of the purple-eyed demon leopard, he was certain of one thing. The scarlet crystals were not within the amplification range of the spoils of war of the strongest lords and the strongest lords of the myriad races. Otherwise, it would be 3 pious tier scarlet crystals instead of 1. He shook his head inwardly and looked at the next fog monster. As time passed, fog monsters were killed one after another by Zhou Zhou. He could not help but sigh inwardly. It was not easy to obtain good spoils of war, even if he had the talent of the King of Loots. On the other side, Lord Nong Chenglin and the other Alliance Masters were also looking at their Alliance Master's attitude expectantly. When they saw Zhou Zhou pass through the fog monster they had brought, they could not help but look disappointed. If the fog monsters they brought could be chosen by the Lord, he would be happy. In addition, he would be able to obtain 1,000 Violent Storm Spirit Class Change Certificates and 1,000 other Soldier-type Class Change Certificates. There was no need to mention the former. The latter was 1,000 Kingdom-level Soldier-type Class Change Certificates and many other types of Soldier-type Class Change Certificates. Who wouldn't want it? However, the Lord's standards were indeed high. After such a long time, he actually did not choose any of them. Mine should be chosen, right? In the crowd, an ordinary-looking female lord thought nervously. She was quite confident before she came. She even had the courage to tell others that the fog monster she brought would definitely be chosen by the Lord. But now, she gradually started panicking when the Lord was going through the monsters without stopping. His lordship even has a kingdom-level soldier type. Perhaps he really wouldn't like the fog monster I brought. She heard people discussing the Violent Storm Spirit Class Change Certificate in low voices. She thought about the loots she had obtained from the fog monster and felt a little disappointed. Half an hour later, Zhou Zhou stood in front of the 113th fog monster's spoils of war. After reading its spoils of war, he was just as disappointed. He walked to the next fog monster expressionlessly. It was a soldier wearing a yellow gold tier armor. Its feet were off the ground as it floated in the air. It held a yellow gold tier sword and a yellow gold tier shield, and there were 9 yellow gold tier spears on its back. It looked impressive and luxurious. Zhou Zhou looked at it. A text message appeared. Monster name, King of Yellow Gold. Strength level, Yellow Gold tier advanced grade. Monster description, a fog monster from the Lost Golden City. It is a special soldier type of the Fallen Golden Kingdom, a branch of the Sword Shield soldiers. The King of Yellow Gold has extremely high defense, attack power, and low-altitude flying ability. Moreover, their golden mystic armor has an extremely high absorption effect on soul attacks and elemental attacks. At the peak of the Golden Kingdom, the Golden Army formed by the King of Yellow Gold was their most famous army. Loot drop rate, 8 Yellow Gold tier mist cores, drop rate, 100%, 100 unit of Yellow Gold, drop rate, 20% 0.5%, 1 Yellow Gold tier advanced grade skill book 9 spears flying strike, drop rate, 20%, 1 Yellow Gold tier advanced grade 1 of the Yellow Gold secret armor series equipment, drop rate, 15%, 1 Yellow Gold tier advanced grade Yellow Gold secret armor manufacturing blueprint, drop rate, 6%, 1 Shallow Faith tier Scarlet Crystal, drop rate, 1%, 1 Gradeless King of Yellow Gold class change certificate, drop rate, 0.1%, 1 Yellow Gold tier advanced grade King of Yellow Gold recruitment books, drop rate, 0.1%. Zhou Zhou raised his eyebrows. A smile finally appeared on his face. There was actually a special soldier type drop. Moreover, it was an advanced branch soldier type of the Sword Shield soldier. If he were to rear it in the Monster Ranch, wouldn't he be able to obtain an endless stream of King of Yellow Gold soldiers in the future? Moreover, he could also use the King of Yellow Gold class change certificate to advance all the basic soldier types in his army, Sword Shield soldiers, to special grade soldier types, the King of Yellow Gold. The advanced grade of a special soldier type was a kingdom-level soldier type. Even though they could not compare to soldiers like the Violent Storm Spirit, their combat strength definitely far exceeded that of ordinary Sword Shield soldiers. There were hundreds of thousands of Sword Shield soldiers in his Blazing Sun army. It would definitely greatly increase the combat strength of his Blazing Sun army if he could promote them all to King of Yellow Gold. Then, Zhou Zhou killed it and extracted the loots. Zhou Zhou realized that the other loots did not change much, but the level increased by 1, and the amount increased by 150%. Only the Yellow Gold tier's quality had actually increased by 1 and turned into raw gold. Raw gold. This is an extraordinary tier material. Its value is comparable to the life and death elemental gems. Zhou Zhou had the heritage of the dragon race in his mind, so he naturally knew the value of this raw gold. He could not help but be happy. Then, he picked up the King of Yellow Gold class change certificate and King of Yellow Gold recruitment books. A text notification appeared. Item name, King of Yellow Gold class change certificate. Item level, gradeless. Item effect, special soldier type class change item. After using it, you can become a special soldier type class, King of Yellow Gold. You will also have a set of low-level black iron equipment, 100 kilograms of gold, 20 years of combat experience as a Gold King, and initial strength as a low-level black iron. Item description, special class change certificate. It comes from the Lost Golden Kingdom. It can allow ordinary people without any strength to step onto the extraordinary tier path of military professionals. Item name, King of Yellow Gold recruitment book. Item level, White Platinum tier advanced grade. Item effect, special soldier type recruitment books. Throw them into the gate of summoning. You can summon a White Platinum tier advanced grade Black Iron tier elementary grade King of Yellow Gold to become your subject. Item description, one of the sources of the Myriad Realm Lord's forces. Only the lucky among the lords can obtain it. Good God. They are giving a 100 kilograms of Yellow Gold tier for the job change. Zhou Zhou sighed. If news of this were to spread on the Cerulean planet or Earth, it would cause many people to go crazy. However, in the High Continent, the main currency used by all life forms was the mist cores. In their eyes, raw yellow gold was just a relatively rare mineral. However, he did not know if it was because he had used up all his luck, but the next dozens of monsters did not give him any spoils of war that he liked. Until he saw the last fog monster. This was an ordinary wolf monster. Monster name, Bloodfang Wild Wolf. Strength level, Black Iron Tier Advanced Grade. Monster description, a mist monster from the barren grass mountains. It likes to eat the flesh of living creatures and often hunts in groups. Its blood teeth are extremely sharp and can be sold to traveling vendors in exchange for some mist cores. Loot's drop rate, 8 Black Iron Tier Mist Cores, drop rate, 100%, 3 units of blood teeth, drop rate, 30%, 1 Black Iron Tier Advanced Grade Equipment Blood Teeth Necklace, drop rate, 20%, 1 Fanatic Tier Scarlet Crystals, drop rate, 1%. Zhou Zhou's eyes widened when he saw the last loot. Fanatic Tier Scarlet Crystals? Wouldn't it be another Holy Spirit Tier Faith Divine Crystal after extracting and purifying it? Zhou Zhou never expected this. Today, they had killed more than 20 million enemies, but they had not obtained a single Fanatic Tier Scarlet Crystals. Now, there was one from the more than 200 fog monsters. Without hesitation, Zhou Zhou killed it and obtained the Holy Spirit Tier Scarlet Crystals. He looked at the Holy Spirit Tier Scarlet Crystals in his hand and smiled. He would have 2 Holy Spirit Tier Faith Divine Crystals after he purified it. He found another one. He would be able to repay the debt from the Night Temple. At this moment, all the fog monsters had been seen. Zhou Zhou called Nong Chenglin over. Who brought this king of yellow gold and the Bloodfang wild wolf here? Zhou Zhou asked. Reporting to my lord, the king of yellow gold was brought over by a lord member called Lord Lan Xian. As for this Bloodfang wild wolf, it was brought over by a lord named the Flower Harvester Lord. Nong Chenglin took out a copy and glanced at it before replying immediately. In a while, bring the 2 of them to collect 1,000 copies of the Violent Storm Spirit Clash Change Certificate. Also, collect 1,000 copies of the other basic military profession change certificate. Zhou Zhou said. Yes, my lord. Nong Chenglin said respectfully. He was a little envious of these 2 lords. In his impression, these 2 lords were extremely inconspicuous lords in the Star Alliance. They were lucky today. The fog monster they brought with them actually obtained the lord's favor. He sighed in his heart, but he didn't think too much about it. Look, no matter how envious he was, there was nothing he could do about it. He wasted no time. He immediately went to the team of lords and called Lord Lan Xian and Lord Flower Harvester over. Then, he told them what had happened. Both of them were female lords. After being called over, they were pleasantly surprised to know that the fog monster they had brought had been chosen by Zhou Zhou. Lord Lan Xian heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, my lord chose the fog monster I brought. The bragging has come true. A bright smile appeared on her face. Then, under Nong Chenglin's lead, she went to collect the reward with Lord Flower Harvester. Zhou Zhou did not leave either. Instead, he had a feast with all the lords and held a simple meeting with the lords and generals. The meeting mainly discussed the 3 days of rest and the activities of the King of 10,000 Kings after that. However, since the Supreme Will did not reveal much information about the activities of the King of 10,000 Kings, no one discussed much. In the end, the result of the final meeting was that everyone agreed to develop their territory's forces well in these 3 days. They would try their best to increase the strength of their territory before the King of 10,000 Kings event began so that they could better face this event. Most of them had the Lord talent of insight defection. In addition, they had gained a lot in the past 3 days. The strength of many lords' territories had increased by more than 10 times. Therefore, they were confident that their territory's strength would increase further in these 3 days. Then, everyone did not stay any longer and returned to their respective territories. Zhou Zhou also returned to his beginner-grade Lord's Paradise. In the end, as soon as he returned, he received a piece of news. Temple Lord White River of the Night Temple invited him to the Night Temple for a chat. After Zhou Zhou found out, he did not waste any time and followed the soldier to the Night Temple. Night Temple. Zhou Zhou had just arrived when he saw Bai He and his disciple Rob Allen waiting for him at the door. Around them stood more than 20 humans who emitted shocking auras and pressure. Among these people, Zhou Zhou had seen some in the Night Temple, while others had not. Even though some people had never seen it before, Zhou Zhou knew that they were definitely the upper echelons of the Night Temple, or even the upper echelons of the human race just from the aura they emitted. Zhou Zhou retracted the smile on his face and became serious. He walked up to Bai He. "Greetings, Bai He. Greetings, seniors." Zhou Zhou bowed politely to the human experts. "Good. As expected of our human lord. We've already heard about your performance on the battlefield of the lords of the myriad races. You've really brought honor to our human race. Young man, you're quite good-looking. You actually have the appearance of a celestial. Young friend, there's a female junior in my clan who has peerless beauty. Why don't you meet her when you have time? The lucky star is protecting the entire human race. You are now the benefactor and lucky star of our human race." Haha. The moment Zhou Zhou spoke, countless upper echelons of the human race responded. Rob Allen, who was standing beside Bai He, was obviously envious of Zhou Zhou. This guy, he had clearly just arrived in the high continent not long ago, but he had already caused so much trouble. Rob couldn't help but click his tongue when he thought about what he had done during this period of time. He had become the strongest novice lord of the human race on Cerulean planet, revived a human hero, and ascended to the myriad race's lord battlefield's mythical tier rank. Now, he had even become the strongest lord of the myriad races. He had even obtained a race divine artifact, the Lucky Star, which benefited the entire human race. The current Zhou Zhou, it was not an exaggeration to say that it was beneficial to the entire human race. This was also the reason why so many higher-ups of the Night Temple and the human race came to see each other. They were even willing to take care of each other and rope them in. They owed him a huge favor. What was he doing at his age? He had just been accepted as a disciple by his teacher and was still obediently practicing combat techniques under his teacher. Even though being accepted as a disciple by the legendary king of Abyssal Knights was already a great opportunity in the eyes of many humans and even people of foreign races, it was nothing compared to the Lord of the Blazing Sun in front of him. Rob Allen thought of Bai He's lament to the Lord of the Blazing Sun. He's the number one among the younger generation of the myriad races. "Don't stand here. Let's talk inside." Bai He smiled. Everyone nodded and entered the Night Temple together. Then, they arrived at a large banquet hall. Dozens of luxurious tables were placed in the hall, filled with all kinds of delicacies that Zhou Zhou had never heard of. A fragrance of various flavors assaulted his senses. Zhou Zhou took a whiff and actually felt that the energy in his body, which had just advanced to Diamond Tier Advanced Grade, had increased slightly again. It was about 0.1%. He could not help but click his tongue. He was a lord. Advancing required a huge amount of promotion energy to begin with. He did not expect that the promotion energy in his body would increase by 0.1% just by taking a whiff of the fragrance of the food. If it were anyone else, that person had probably already increased its promotion energy by about 20%. They were 4 golden meatballs that emitted a faint glow. A text notification appeared. Dish name: Extreme Spirit Gold Meat. Dish's grade: Low-level deity elementary grade. Dish description: a divine grade delicacy made from 3 colored jade leaves, bright deer skin, realm essence water, and other god-tier ingredients. It's very delicious and unforgettable to life forms. It can also regulate the body and increase the upper limit of lifespan by 50 to 100 years. Zhou Zhou's eyes widened. Oh my F** King God. I only took a casual look, and it was actually a low-tier deity-level dish. Moreover, it had the effect of increasing the upper limit of one's lifespan. He couldn't help but look at the other dishes. The more he looked at it, the more shocked he became. This was because he discovered that the grades of the other dishes were not lower than low-tier deity level. The lowest was a low-tier deity-level elementary grade dish, and the highest was a true god-tier elementary grade dish called the Heavenly Origin Treasure Dragonfish. It was located in the middle of all the dishes. *T. He had learned something new. So this was a banquet for the upper echelons? Zhou Zhou was dumbfounded. He could not help but take a deep breath and tell himself not to show his fear. Only then did he reluctantly retract his gaze and look at the others. Only then did he realize that even though these people were a little surprised by the way they looked at the dishes, they were not too affected. Obviously, Even though the quality of these dishes was high, it did not shock them. They were all real big shots. Zhou Zhou clicked his tongue even more. The weakest of these upper echelons of the human race were probably god-tier existences. Otherwise, why would they look at these dishes so calmly? He had really been valued by some impressive people. After that, everyone took their seats. Zhou Zhou was arranged to sit on by his left. As Zhou Zhou sat there, he looked at the smiles of the big shots in front of him. No matter how strong his mental fortitude was, he could not help but feel a little nervous. One had to know that as the temple lord of the Night Temple and the initiator of this banquet, he was seated at the main seat of the banquet. And now, he was actually sitting next to Bai He. How much higher was he going to elevate him? However, looking at the expressions of the human big shots, they did not seem to have any objections to his position. Instead, they smiled very kindly, as if they were looking at their juniors. Did they really think that they were looking at a junior? Or were they just acting on the surface but thinking otherwise on the inside? Zhou Zhou's mind raced. Let the banquet begin. At this moment, Bai chuckled. Everyone responded with a smile. Seeing this scene, Zhou Zhou stopped thinking and looked at the god-tier dishes in front of him. Who cares? These dishes were all god-tier dishes. They were rare top-grade dishes and had many beneficial effects on him. He had to eat to his fill. He picked up the cutlery and began to eat without any more hesitation. However, even though he had made up his mind to eat his fill, he did not want to appear like a hungry ghost. On the surface, he ate in accordance with table etiquette. However, if one observed carefully, they would realize that his chopsticks had never stopped. This made the human big shot, who had originally wanted to come over to chat, temporarily give up on the idea of coming over. Anyway, he was not in a hurry. After a while, everyone was almost done eating, and their gazes fell on Zhou Zhou. Seeing this, Zhou Zhou was too embarrassed to continue eating. He put down his chopsticks regretfully. Lord of the Blazing Sun, a handsome young man said with an ancient voice, "Thank you for bringing the lucky star to our human race so that everyone can enjoy the blessing of the lucky star. This is Xin Yuani, the second patriarch of our human race. He's also the second speaker of our human race's Supreme Council and the strongest martial immortal of the human race. Don't be deceived by his appearance. He has the ability to retain his youth and has cultivated the immortality scripture. In fact, he is almost 20,000 years old." Zhou Zhou suddenly heard Bai's voice in his mind, just as he was wondering who this young man was. He could not help but be shocked. Good God! It turned out that this was a big shot who was good at retaining his youth. As a member of the human race, it's my honor to contribute to the human race. Zhou Zhou stood up and said with a smile, regardless of whether this was true or not. At the very least, all the human big shots present smiled when they heard this. A gratified smile also appeared on Xin Yuani's face. He nodded. It's really rare for you to have this opportunity and have this intention. As expected of a genius of our human race. You deserve it. After saying that, his expression gradually became serious. However, do you know the importance of this kind of divine artifact condensed from the faith of the life forms of all races? I know a little. It does not only work on humans, it can also work on living beings of other races. Zhou Zhou said, maybe these human big shots wanted me to hand over the lucky star and let them keep it? This thought suddenly appeared in his mind. Even though the smile on his face did not change, he had a bad feeling. At this moment, the other human big shots were also looking at Xin Yuani with different expressions. It was unknown what they were thinking. Xin Yuani looked at Zhou Zhou and nodded. A race divine artifact like the lucky star can almost determine the rise and fall of a race. Moreover, because it can support the entire race, it's definitely impossible to keep it a secret and hide this race divine artifact. It won't be long before you and your lucky star are known to all races. The races here don't only include the Lord of all races. There are also the civilizations behind the lords of the 10,000 races who aren't participating in the Lord of all races competition, but are paying attention to this competition. Therefore, after you obtain it, you must be even more careful in the future and keep this race divine artifact well. Xin Yuani reminded. The 5% drop rate bonus did not seem high. However, it was also enough to increase the drop rate by 5 times for some extremely rare spoils of war, such as the 1% drop rate. With this 5% drop rate, many extremely rare spoils of war would easily drop. In addition, its enhancement range was the entire human race. It could be said that, with this lucky star, the strength and potential of the human race would at least double in the future. This was the strength of a race divine artifact. I understand. I'll be careful. Zhou Zhou nodded when he heard Xian Yuanyi's words. In addition, he could not help but be a little surprised. The other party actually did not say that he wanted to safeguard the race's divine artifact for him. Even though he didn't know why he didn't say it, he was really thinking too much. However, this also made him have a good impression of the second speaker of the human race. At the same time, when the other human big shots who were originally looking forward to it heard that Xian Yuanyi did not mention what they were thinking at all, they were immediately stunned. They all winked at Xian Yuanyi and even communicated telepathically. However, Xian Yuanyi acted as if he did not hear anything and sat there leisurely. However, he expressed his attitude and thoughts. These human big shots were very puzzled, but Xian Yuanyi was the person with the highest status and strongest strength among them, so they did not dare to say anything. Mr. Speaker, I have a question. Zhou Zhou asked. What's the question? Tell me. Xian Yuanyi smiled. Don't we lords of all races have the protection of the supreme agreement set up by the supreme will? Can those races and civilizations really ignore the supreme agreement and attack me? Zhou Zhou asked. The supreme agreement is indeed very powerful, but the supreme will not destroy all the races and civilizations just because some races and civilizations violate the supreme agreement. At most, they will give some punishment that will make the races and civilizations feel the pinch. If the value you show exceeds the damage caused by the punishment, they will make up their minds and come after you. Race divine artifacts have such value. And those top-notch races and civilizations might not do it themselves. They might use various methods to hint to those lower middle-level races and civilizations to attack you. After they get what you have, those top-notch races and civilizations can take action at this time and snatch what they want from these lower middle-level races and civilizations. This will minimize the punishment of the Supreme will to the greatest extent and obtain what they want. Xian Yuanyi said in a low voice. Zhou Zhou frowned. This move of killing someone with a borrowed knife was ruthless. And most importantly, there was no need for those top-notch races and civilizations to hint anymore. The news of his race's divine artifact Lucky Star would naturally spread to the various races and civilizations before long. When the time comes, he would naturally be in endless trouble. Even though he was already very strong among the lords of all races, however, compared to those local lord factions that had developed for countless years, there was definitely a huge gap. Zhou Zhou pondered silently. This lucky star was good, but it was also a hot potato. At this moment, Xian Yuanyi suddenly laughed. Are you worried that those intermediate and low-level races and civilizations will deal with you? He asked. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. There was nothing wrong with admitting it. Don't worry, Xian Yuanyi said. Why not? Zhou Zhou was stunned. Xian Yuanyi looked a little helpless. Then, he said in a low voice, Do you think there's no race behind you? If those races and civilizations dare to take the risk of being punished by the Supreme will to snatch your race's divine artifact, we humans will naturally reject them and not let them hurt you. As for the reason, you can think that we value your potential. You can also say that we want something from you. But the simplest reason is because you are a member of our human race. We humans are not powerful among the myriad races. We can only be considered an ordinary race. However, it doesn't mean that we're the kind of weak race that doesn't react when our clansmen are bullied. If those people of foreign races want to fight, let's fight. When Xian Yuanyi finished speaking, his ancient voice seemed to be filled with killing intent that had been accumulated for 10,000 years. When the other human big shots heard this, they also looked like they were bound by a common hatred for the enemy and were filled with killing intent. Zhou Zhou was stunned. It had to be said when he heard that these human big shots were willing to start a war with the people of foreign races to protect him. His heart warmed a little. Yes, I have never been alone. I still have the entire human race behind me. We will help you fight against those people of foreign races that have ill intentions towards you. But you can't relax either. You have to develop well. We will look forward to the day when you can personally lead your army to fight against the enemy people of foreign races. Xin Yuanyi said with a smile. I've always been fighting against the people of foreign races. I'll always fight against them, both now and in the future, Zhou Zhou said in a low voice. Xin Yuanyi and the others immediately smiled when they heard this. Baihe's expression was also rather gratified. Everyone chatted for a while. When the banquet was about to end, an old granny walked up to Zhou Zhou and sized her up kindly. Young man, you're so handsome. No wonder my disciple often talks about you. She laughed. Senior's disciple is? Zhou Zhou was stunned. My name is Ling Ro, and my title is Holy Light Physician King. She laughed. So you're Miss Lu's teacher. Zhou Zhou immediately reacted and said respectfully. He had no choice but to be respectful. This was a famous doctor of the human race. Be it medical ethics or medical skills, they were already at the forefront of human doctors. Many human experts had been treated by her, and she had even saved their lives. Therefore, even though her strength was ordinary among heroes, her connections were terrifying. How is the little girl now? Holy Light Physician King Ling Ro said with a smile. She's fine. I'll bring you there later if you want to see her. Zhou Zhou said. Just as well. Let's see what charm your territory has. My disciple is actually unwilling to return to my place. Ling Ro smiled. Zhou Zhou scratched his head awkwardly. He couldn't be blamed for this. It was Lu Kaier who volunteered to stay with him. Another half an hour passed. The banquet ended. The human big shots left one after another. It's getting late. You should go back and rest early. When most of them had left, Baihe came to Zhou Zhou's side and said, There's no hurry. Zhou Zhou looked at Baihe and said, Temple Lord, I have a resurrection spot in my hands now. Do you have any hero candidates who want to be resurrected? Joy immediately appeared on Baihe's face upon hearing this. In the corridor of the Night Temple, the human big shots walked towards the spatial teleportation array one after the other. As the higher-ups of the human race, they had to deal with countless matters every day. If not for the fact that the divine artifact of the race was really important today, they would not have taken the time to come here. At this moment, the dozen or so elder ones who had fallen behind looked at each other and hesitated for a few seconds. In the end, they quickly caught up to Xin Yuanyi, who was walking in front. Speaker. Why? Just as these people were about to say something, they saw Xin Yuanyi say as he walked, Which do you think is more important, the divine artifact of a race or the Lord of the Blazing Sun himself? The human big shots were stunned. They hesitated for a moment before saying, Lord of the Blazing Sun. The Lord of the Blazing Sun, of course. It's true that the Lord of the Blazing Sun is the most important, but the divine artifact of the race is also very important. Furthermore, it's very difficult for the Lord of the Blazing Sun to protect this race divine artifact now. If it can be in our hands, we should at least protect it well and not let it be snatched away by other races. The big shots of the human race said. They naturally knew that the Lord of the Blazing Sun was definitely more important than the two. The God of Race's divine artifact was obtained by the Lord of the Blazing Sun with his own abilities. It was not obtained by luck. If it was someone else, they would definitely think of a way to obtain this race divine artifact. But for the former, this only proved that the Lord of the Blazing Sun was more valuable than the race's divine artifact. That's what I thought. Therefore, I decided to let the Lord of the Blazing Sun keep his race's divine artifact for himself. Us seniors of the human race should not do those things that will disappoint the hearts of outstanding juniors. The future of the human race belongs to them after all, Xin Yuanyi said in a low voice. Furthermore, the Lord of the Blazing Sun has only been in our high continent for a short period of time. It's so short that he doesn't have too many emotional ties with the entire human race. To him, the ones with the deepest connection are the subjects under his command and the human branch behind him, the humans of Cerulean planet. If we use the righteousness of the entire human race to persuade him to hand over the race's divine artifact now, I'm afraid that even if he can hand it over in the end, it will aggravate the friendship that the Night Temple has painstakingly accumulated with him during this period of time. That's not worth it. Xin Yuanyi sighed. The big shots of the human race fell silent. Someone wanted to say, "Is this Lord of the Blazing Sun worth treating so seriously and cautiously?" However, when he thought of the Lord of the Blazing Sun's achievements during this period of time, he suppressed his thoughts. This Lord of the Blazing Sun had really done something that the human race had never done in the past tens of thousands of years. He was indeed worth being treated seriously and cautiously by Xin Yuanyi and the other human big shots just based on these achievements and the potential in future. Otherwise, once the other party felt disgusted, their relationship turning cold would be a small matter. They were afraid that the other party would throw themselves into the arms of other races and deal with the humans instead. That would be the most regretful and uncomfortable. Inform all the human factions. From now on, immediately start preparing for battle and prepare for the battle of the race's divine artifacts that might descend at any time. Once there's a war, remember to send the news to this kid and let him know what we've done for him. In case the war is over and this kid still doesn't know what's going on, then we'll have worked for nothing. Xin Yuanyi said. Yes, Speaker. Understood. I'll make the arrangements as soon as I get back. On the other side, after hearing Zhou Zhou's words, he immediately planned to bring Zhou Zhou to the heroic spirit hall. Where are you going in a hurry? At this moment, Holy Light Physician King Ling Ro walked over and asked with a smile. When Bai saw her, his gaze became much gentler. This kid can resurrect a hero now. I plan to let him resurrect someone, he said. I want to take a look too. Is that okay? The Holy Light Physician King was instantly curious. She had heard that this Lord of the Blazing Sun had a way to revive people before she came. As a doctor, she was naturally quite curious about this. Even though her medical skills were superb, it was not to the extent of being able to revive from the dead after all. But he looked at Zhou Zhou. Sure. Zhou Zhou nodded and agreed. The fact that he could revive people was no longer a secret among the upper echelons of the human race anymore. If she wanted to see it, she could. In any case, there was nothing to be ashamed of. Then, the three of them did not waste any more time and arrived at the heroic spirit hall. Greetings, Temple Lord. Greetings, Physician King. We meet again, Lord of the Blazing Sun. The Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea said with a smile. He and the Holy Light Physician King nodded before entering the heroic spirit hall. Greetings, Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea. Zhou Zhou nodded with a smile and followed them in. The Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea clicked his tongue in wonder. As the Night Temple and even the Holy Land of the entire human race, very few people came to the heroic spirit hall. However, ever since they had the Lord of the Blazing Sun as a neighbor, this little fellow had almost become a regular here. In the heroic spirit hall, after he brought him and the Holy Light Physician King in, he quickly walked towards the east. Soon, they arrived in front of a heroic spirit statue. He looked at the statue and didn't speak for a long time. The Holy Light Physician King also had a complicated expression. Zhou Zhou looked at the statue. This was a young boy who was only 7 or 8 years old. He was dressed in white, and a star that emitted a faint white light floated in his hand. Above his head, countless stars hung high. The starlight fell on his body, making this young man look a little magical. He looked at the hero information displayed on the divine calming stone. Low-tier deity level hero child of star. The son of the star was originally called Li Xingguang. When this youth was born, there was already a phenomenon. It was said that originally, there were no stars in the sky that night. It looked like an ordinary night without stars. However, with Li Xingguang's birth, countless stars suddenly appeared in the originally dark night sky. They emitted a dazzling light as they descended from the sky and entered the infant Li Xingguang's body. Li Xingguang, who was originally an ordinary person, became an extraordinary tier professional Starlight envoy after being transformed by Starlight without needing a class change certificate. At that time, everyone was stunned by this situation. Not only was Li Xingguang not frightened to tears by the scene in front of him like ordinary children, he also laughed and reached out his hand, wanting to grab the starlight surrounding him. Then, under everyone's dumbfounded gazes, he really grabbed the wisps of starlight. In his hands, the high and mighty starlight was like a small pet, circling around his hand and body. His parents named him Li Xingguang. Xingguang means starlight, after seeing this scene. In the days that followed, more and more miracles appeared on Li Xingguang's body. He was born with knowledge, photographic memory, high IQ, high EQ, and could absorb starlight to cultivate and increase his strength. All kinds of miracles made Li Xingguang's legend spread further and further. In the end, it finally attracted the attention of the upper echelons of the human race. Bai He was the first to find him. Bai He proposed to take him in as a disciple when he was 9 years old, faced with the well-known Li Xingguang. 9 years old was the most suitable age to teach him in Bai He's eyes. Before that, he wanted Li Xingguang to enjoy his rare childhood. The smart Li Xingguang immediately agreed when he heard this request. Since then, Li Xingguang lived until he was 8 years old without any accidents under the secret protection of the higher-ups of the human race. The most shocking thing was, Li Xingguang even became a hero with a low-tier deity-level hero fate level slot. When he was 5 years old through his own comprehension, he had become such a hero at such a young age. That meant that Li Xingguang's potential was definitely not limited to this. In the eyes of many higher-ups of the human race, it was very likely that Li Xingguang would become a high-level god-tier hero in the future, or even a true god-tier hero. However, just before Li Xingguang was about to acknowledge Bai He as his teacher, a true god-tier foreign race which had a deadly feud with Bai He appeared and killed Li Xingguang, who was rushing over to become Bai He's disciple. During this process, countless human experts who were secretly protecting Li Xingguang took action to stop it. There was even a true god-tier hero present, but he was unable to protect Li Xingguang. It was all too fast. In addition, there was a difference in strength. This true god-tier foreign race was also good at assassination methods. They were unable to stop the other party from assassinating Li Xingguang. And so, when Bai He rushed over, he only saw Li Xingguang's corpse, which had already turned lifeless. Zhou Zhou fell silent after reading the hero's message. He became a hero at the age of 5 through self-realization. This potential and comprehension could no longer be described as exaggerated. It was not a problem to say that he was one of the top human geniuses in the history of the human race. Unfortunately, such a new star of the human race had ushered in a tragic ending. Zhou Zhou's gaze landed on Bai He, who was still in a daze. He finally knew why this human big shot had such an expression. So it was his disciple. Moreover, he was a disciple with such high potential. At this moment, Bai He turned around to look at him. Your resurrection spot can be used on this son of the star. I'm sure you've read his hero profile, but I'll tell you one thing. Even though he's a disciple I have yet to take in, it was not my decision alone to revive him. It's a joint decision of the entire human race after unanimous discussion. The higher-ups of the human race unanimously agreed that Li Xingguang's character, potential, background, and other aspects perfectly met the requirements to be selected for the resurrection spot. That's why he became one of the 3 resurrection spots. He explained. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. What happened to the true god tier of the people of foreign race who assassinated Li Xingguang in the end? I hunted him down over 26 worlds and finally killed him in the interlayer of space, Bai He said calmly. Zhou Zhou clicked his tongue. At this moment, Bai He suddenly stretched out his right hand. There was a golden token in his palm with the word "ride" written on it. A hint of sadness flashed across Bai He's eyes upon seeing this token. I gave this token to Li Xingguang back then. I asked him to use this token to find me as his master when he was 9 years old. It's one of the things he left behind. Can you use it as a resurrection medium? He restrained his emotions and asked. It shouldn't be a problem. Zhou Zhou took a look and said. Bai He handed the token to him. If we can successfully revive Li Xingguang, I'll owe you one, he said solemnly. Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up. This was a favor from a true god-tier hero. Moreover, he held a high position in the human race. One could imagine the weight of his favor. Temple Lord, you are too kind. The 3 resurrection spots were originally agreed upon between us. Zhou Zhou said politely, but he shook his head and remained silent. I'll bring Li Xingguang to you. Seeing this, Zhou Zhou didn't say anything else. He brought the token and holy light physician King Ling Ro out of the heroic spirit hall and walked towards the shelter of the goddess of life. The shelter of the goddess of life. In the main hall, after Zhou Zhou briefly explained his purpose for coming to Carol Moeli, he handed the token and holy spirit tier scarlet crystals to her. Leave it to me, my lord, Carol Moeli said respectfully. Then, her gaze landed on the holy light physician king behind Zhou Zhou. Madam, I'll be presiding over the great resurrection spell. The gaze of God will descend here. At that time, please don't do anything blasphemous. Otherwise, the consequences are not something you can imagine. Carol Moeli said solemnly. She was a person of faith. Naturally, she would not be afraid to warn the other person just because of the other party's identity. She would say whatever needed to be said. Of course, Lingro said with a smile. Carol Moeli nodded. Then, she came to the statue of the goddess of life solemnly and began to preside over the ritual of the great resurrection spell. The ritual process was naturally the same as the great resurrection spell ritual that Zhou Zhou had experienced previously. However, when the pressure of the goddess of life descended, the smile on Ling Ro's face finally changed. There was fear and shock. There was also desire and surprise. A moment later, the great resurrection spell ended. A naked 8-year-old boy was lying quietly on a stone bed condensed from light elementals. Zhou Zhou didn't look at her and went straight to Carol Moeli. How are you? He asked. I'm fine. His strength is only at white platinum tier advanced grade. It's quite easy for me to revive him. Carol Moeli looked at the Lord in front of her and shook her head. She was now an extraordinary tier intermediate grade cardinal. The highest she could be resurrected was a hero with extraordinary tier intermediate grade strength when the target was alive. Before Li Xingguang died, he was only a white platinum tier advanced grade. It was naturally very simple for her to revive. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. Then, he came in front of Li Xingguang and used the object control technique to send him a set of clothes that he had already prepared. Then, he checked his information. Subject: Li Xingguang, Hero Unit. Hero Title: Son of the Star. Position: Low-tier deity level hero fate level. Territory: None. Strength level: White Platinum tier advanced grade. Ability overview: The young man blessed by the stars was born with the ability to control the power of the stars. He was gifted and was born with knowledge. His personality was gentle and kind, but his fate was full of misfortune. In the end, he died at the hands of the true god tier of the foreign races. Now that he has been revived by the Lord of the Blazing Sun, he has begun his new journey of fate. Bloodline: Human bloodline, true god tier advanced grade, 100%. Skills: Talent Star Protection, Talent Body of the Star, Hero Skill Star in the Palm, Hero Skill Star Domain, White Advanced Grade Starlight Protection, White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade Star Transformation, White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade Starlight Healing Technique, White Platinum Star Divination. Loyalty: Unable to check. Potential: True God Tier Advanced Grade. Hero Biography: 1. When you were born, you were protected by the star protection. You were born with the wisdom to know. Human reputation plus 10,000. High continent reputation plus 1. 2. As he grows up, he will gradually understand the Tao of stars and become a low-tier deity-level hero son of stars. Human reputation plus 100,000. High continent reputation plus 10. Li Xingguang gradually opened his confused eyes under Zhou Zhou's gaze. His irises were very strange. They were 7-colored and looked a little dreamy. Big brother, you are? He sat up and looked at Zhou Zhou in confusion. Am I not dead? I'm the Lord of the Blazing Sun. My real name is Zhou Zhou. On your way to become a disciple, you were assassinated by a true god tier of the people of foreign races. Now, I've revived you. Hurry up and get up. Your teacher is waiting for you. Zhou Zhou smiled. This child was soft-spoken. He looked quite likable coupled with his cute appearance. If he was placed on the cerulean planet, who knew how many girls would like this little boy? I've been revived? Li Xingguang blinked and quickly calmed down. He smiled. Thank you, big brother. Xingguang will never forget your kindness. If you need any help from Xingguang in the future, please ask Xingguang to come and help. He said sincerely. Zhou Zhou had high-level telepathy, so he could naturally sense that the other party was speaking the truth. This child is really sensible. No wonder the description of his abilities said that he was gentle and kind. Zhou Zhou sighed. In addition, this child's ability to accept things was shocking. He actually accepted the fact that he was resurrected so quickly. Sure. If I need any help in the future, I'll definitely call you over. He chuckled and stroked Li Xingguang's hair. This little fellow was extremely talented. He might be able to reach Baihe's level in the future as long as he grows up. Zhou Zhou did not have many thoughts about benefits. His attitude towards this little fellow was similar to his attitude towards Xiao Xian. He had the care and concern of an elder for a younger brother and an elder for a junior. This is for you. Zhou Zhou thought for a moment and took out the Wind Thunder Demon Lord puppet he had obtained previously and gave it to Li Xingguang. He had forgotten to give it to Linger when he was with her previously. He would think about it next time. He would not lack good things in the future with his King of Lutes. Thank you, big brother. Li Xingguang's eyes lit up when he received the puppet. Even though he had the wisdom of being born with knowledge, he was only a 9-year-old child. Naturally, he could not resist the temptation of a child's toy. Zhou Zhou smiled when he saw this and told him the function of this thing. When Li Xingguang heard this, he immediately felt that this big brother in front of him was really good. He still had the memory of being assassinated by the people of foreign race in his mind, so he had a huge shadow in his heart. Hence, he really liked the gift brother Zhou Zhou gave him. At this moment, Holy Light Physician King Ling Ro walked over. Little guy, do you remember me? She said gently. Grandma Ling. Li Xingguang's eyes lit up. When he first met Baihe, this old granny was by his side. Okay. The smile on Ling Ro's face became even kinder. Physician King, little Xingguang. Let's go. Temple Lord should want to meet this disciple he had yet to accept very much. Zhou Zhou smiled. They both smiled and nodded. Then, they walked out of the shelter. At the entrance of the night temple, Baihe and Rob Allen were standing there, waiting for Zhou Zhou and the others to return. Teacher, you can go back and wait. I'll just wait here. Rob Allen could not help but say. Baihe only shook his head. After a moment of silence, Baihe suddenly said, Back then, I vowed in front of Xingguang's parents that I would protect him well and asked them to hand Xingguang over to me. That pair of parents trusted me very much and immediately agreed. But when Xingguang was about to acknowledge me as his master, I couldn't protect him and let him die there. You don't know. What kind of expression did his parents have when I carried Xingguang's body to them? I've let down Xingguang, his parents, and my friends and elders who were willing to give Xingguang to me to teach. I let Xingguang's parents die in a lifetime of grief. Xingguang would never see his parents again. What does it matter if I stand here and wait for him for a while? Rob Allen was stunned. Then, he pursed his lips and stopped talking. At this moment, 3 figures walked over from afar. Rob Allen looked over and was immediately pleasantly surprised. Teacher, the Lord of the Blazing Sun and the rest are back, he immediately said. A faint smile appeared on Baihe's face as he looked at the figure in the distance. Soon, Zhou Zhou and the other 2 arrived in front of Baihe. Zhou Zhou smiled. Baihe nodded, and his gaze landed on Li Xingguang. He saw Li Xingguang looking at him with bright eyes. It was the same reverence and adoration as back then. He stretched out his hand, and in his palm was the token. Uncle Bai, I'm here to acknowledge you as my master, he said excitedly. Sure, you are my disciple from today onwards. Baihe looked at him. After a long time, he smiled and nodded. Zhou Zhou looked at this scene enviously. This little fellow was born a prodigy. Now that he had Baihe's backing, his future was limitless. However, as long as he could grow up, his future would not be bad. Temple Lord, since little Xingguang has been revived, I won't stay any longer. It's time to go back and deal with my territory. When I have a revival spot in the future, I'll take the initiative to come over. Zhou Zhou spoke first. In fact, he still had an empty Holy Spirit Tier Faith Divine Crystal in his hand. However, Zhou Zhou planned to keep this Holy Spirit Tier Faith Divine Crystal as a backup, in case his hero died in battle outside in the future, and he couldn't revive immediately because he didn't keep the Faith Divine Crystal. This could be considered as leaving a way out for his heroes. In any case, the Night Temple did not stipulate when all the resurrection heroes would be completed before a specific period. When he had the second and third Holy Spirit Tier Faith Divine Crystals in the future, he would revive them. Sure, my favor will always count. If you need my help in the future, just let me know. But he didn't try to persuade him to stay. Zhou Zhou nodded. Big brother Zhou, can I come to you in the future? Li Xingguang was reluctant to part with Zhou Zhou. Of course. Zhou Zhou ruffled his hair with a smile on his face. A smile appeared on Li Xingguang's face. Don't call me Temple Lord in the future. If you're willing, just call me Uncle Bai. Bai he suddenly said. You can also call me Aunt Ling. Ling Ro smiled as well. Zhou Zhou was stunned as his gaze landed on Bai He and Ling Ro. Good God. There was a bit of gossip between these two seniors. On the surface, he didn't show any neglect and immediately said, Uncle Bai. Aunt Ling. They both smiled and nodded. When Rob Allen saw this, the intimacy in his eyes intensified. After that, everyone didn't say anything else. Bai He and the others returned to the Night Temple and prepared to make arrangements for Li Xingguang's discipleship. As the Hall Master of the Knight's Sacred Hall and one of the highest-ranking members of the human race, Bai He naturally wouldn't be able to take in a disciple so easily. Otherwise, Rob wouldn't have been able to obtain a related hero biography just by becoming a disciple. As for Zhou Zhou, he returned to his beginner-grade Lord's Paradise. In the beginner-grade Lord's Paradise, the moment Zhou Zhou returned, he knew that Lu Rui and Zhang Lanqing wanted to see him. He arranged for them to meet in the conference room. Reporting to my lord. The Starfire mercenary team has obtained the current battle report of the Taiyan Kingdom. We also have a special piece of information to report, Lu Rui said respectfully. As the leader of the Starfire mercenary team, the current Lu Rui no longer had the immaturity she had when they first met. She had a valiant, heroic, mature, and capable temperament. Let's talk about the battle report of the Taiyan Kingdom first. Zhou Zhou said. Yes. The monster soldiers left in the Aurora Kingdom ever since the Ice Soul Arrow Demon died. They were no longer able to attack the Aurora Kingdom. They have already retreated to the territory of the Taiyan Kingdom. With the reinforcement of this batch of troops, the Taiyan Kingdom still has about 1 million monsters left. There are still about 1.5 million Titan Kingdom's monster soldiers in the Taiyan Kingdom. Right now, both sides are still fighting each other in the Taiyan Kingdom. There wouldn't be a winner for the time being. However, overall, if the time is extended, the Taiyan Kingdom might use its territory advantage to wear down the army of the giant Roar Kingdom that is left in the country. Lu Rui reported. Zhou Zhou nodded. Extend the time? Wear down? He chuckled inwardly. He will deal with both of them tomorrow. Of course, he could also do nothing and wait for both of them to suffer losses before sitting back and reaping the benefits. But there were two things that were not right. Now that this situation was still beneficial to him, he should seize the opportunity and attack quickly to obtain the results he wanted. Otherwise, if this dragged on for too long, who could guarantee that no accidents would happen? It was good to be a fisherman, but he had to stop while he was ahead. Otherwise, it might backfire. Second, the 3 days left by the Supreme were too short. He had to seize the time to defeat the Taiyan Kingdom and obtain enough territory before establishing the number 1 kingdom of the human race on the Cerulean planet. Therefore, he had no time to be a fisherman. What's the other special intel? Zhou Zhou asked. Our adventurer team stationed in the Netherbark Kingdom discovered that the Netherbark Legion seems to be acting strangely, but we don't know what they're doing. Their movements are very secretive. We can't find much information for the time being. Lu Rui said. Zhou Zhou's heart skipped a beat. The Netherbark army of the Netherbark Kingdom actually made a move at this moment? That was the first legion of the Underworld Bark Kingdom. Their actions were not a small matter. What do you have in mind? Zhou Zhou's gaze landed on Lu Rui. I don't have any specific information. I don't dare to discuss it rashly. Lu Rui said. Tell me about it. It's fine. This isn't a specific military meeting. Zhou Zhou shook his head. Reporting to my lord. Then I'll be bold to say it. This is a special time for the war between the two countries. The Netherbark Kingdom actually made such a move. I think they want to secretly attack the Taiyan Kingdom. Didn't you say that the Netherbark Kingdom is holding the god-bestowing ceremony? Zhou Zhou suddenly asked. Yes. The god-bestowing ceremony is real, and so are the actions of the Netherbark army. I think they want to use this god-bestowing ceremony to hide their true goal of obtaining the Taiyan Kingdom. Lu Rui said. Zhou Zhou nodded. Lu Rui's guess was basically the same as his. If what Lu Rui said is true, then I'll lead my troops to attack the Taiyan Kingdom tomorrow. Once I appear, I might really be easily used by the Netherbark Kingdom hidden in the dark. At that time, the Netherbark Kingdom will become a true fisherman. But if I could be late, when the time comes, the Taiyan Kingdom, the Titan Kingdom, and the Netherbark Kingdom will all become fishes in my fishing net. I can totally wipe out the armies they sent. Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up. The 3 legions under his command had more than 2.45 million troops. In addition to the 5.92 million troops of the Star Alliance, it added up to nearly 8.4 million soldiers. Even if he needed to leave some soldiers to guard the territory, he could command 7 million soldiers. With these 7 million soldiers and his more than 3,000 superhumans and many powerful heroes, what were the monster soldiers of the 3 kingdoms in the Taiyan Kingdom? He could easily crush them. They would all be converted into 2,000% additional promotion energy and a huge amount of loots. When the time comes, the Taiyan Kingdom was naturally at his fingertips. Then, he would make a trip to the Aurora Kingdom and take in the Aurora Kingdom. He would directly obtain the national strength of 2 existing kingdoms. At that time, using this as a starting point, it would not be difficult to advance to the intermediate grade kingdom. He couldn't help but feel a little hot in his heart and even a little lightheaded. After wallowing in this feeling for a while, Zhou Zhou suddenly woke up. He suddenly remembered that his current situation seemed to be very good. There were countless resources inside and human support outside. However, there were also many hidden dangers around him. Not to mention the problem of the myriad races coveting the divine artifacts of the races. The influence of the light sacred dragon, Ingersoll, was probably not inferior to the divine artifact of the lucky star race. Most importantly, he had become the #1 in the myriad races Lord battlefield. Through the announcement of the 10,000 races, countless Lord factions and even local factions had already learned of his existence. The tallest tree in the forest would be destroyed by the wind. Zhou Zhou felt that he was the most eye-catching tree in the Forest of Lords. From now on, he had to withstand the omnipresent gusts of wind from all directions. If he could withstand it, he would naturally be a dragon in the sky with a limitless future. If he could not withstand it, sooner or later, he and his territory might be eaten by the lords of the myriad races. I still need to develop, continuously become stronger. I can't slack off at all. Only then can I protect myself and my territory when danger comes. Zhou Zhou thought to himself. At this moment, Aaliyah hurried over. Reporting to my lord. Extreme Dragon, Horus is requesting an audience outside the city. She said respectfully. Zhou Zhou was stunned and nodded. Then, he walked out of the beginner-grade Lord's Paradise and flew to the city wall of the Supreme Defense. Greetings, my lord. Horus flew in the air and said respectfully. What can I do for you? Zhou Zhou asked. Reporting to my lord. The spaceship I sent to receive Extreme Venerable City's assets and subjects has returned. This is the list that I've just summarized. Please take a look, my lord, Horus said. Then, a list appeared out of thin air and flew in front of Zhou Zhou. Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up. He naturally remembered that after Horus submitted to him, he sent an extreme dragon race member to take a spaceship to Horus Lord's territory to receive the property there and the subjects of the extreme dragon race who were in charge of guarding the territory. He didn't expect them to be back so soon. He took the list and looked at it. Extreme Dragon Race, 3. Construction materials, 50 billion units of wood, 50 billion units of fine sand, 50 billion units of metal, 50 billion units of stone, 500,000 units of basic elemental gems, 1,000 units of high-level elemental gems. Mist cores, 136,355,200 black iron tier mist cores, 10,015,521 green bronze tier mist cores, 861,200 white silver tier mist cores, 102,511 yellow gold tier mist cores, 1,041 white platinum tier mist cores, 1 diamond tier mist core. Skill books, 1,265,570. Equipment, 650,000. Zhou Zhou glanced at the other useless resources. After reading it, Zhou Zhou shook his head. It is just as. It could not be compared to him, the king of loots. It was just that there were too many construction resources. Why are you collecting so many basic building resources? Zhou Zhou asked doubtfully. My lord, as you can see, our extreme dragon race is considered one of the largest in the entire dragon race. If we don't collect so many construction resources, we won't have anywhere to live. This is already considered a small amount, Horus said awkwardly. Zhou Zhou. It made it sound like there was indeed nothing wrong with it. Zhou Zhou's gaze landed on the number of extreme dragon race members at the top. At least 3 new extreme dragon race members had joined his dragon god army. Now, his dragon god army already had a total of 68 pure-blooded dragons. Their combined combat strength was comparable to a 1,000,000-man troop. When they fully matured, it would be easy for a pure-blooded dragon to destroy a kingdom. After that, Zhou Zhou and Horus didn't talk much. Horus returned to the area of his dragon sacrifice holy tower, and Zhou Zhou also returned to his beginner-grade lord's paradise. Just as he arrived at the entrance of the blessed land, Zhou Zhou saw someone waiting for him quietly. It was Li Ye. At this moment, Li Ye was wearing a light pink dress. She had put on some makeup, and under the moonlight, she was extremely beautiful. Zhou Zhou was dumbfounded. Zhou Zhou. It was Li Ye's voice that woke him up. This is the first time I've seen you dressed like this. Zhou Zhou came back to his senses and smiled. I dressed up for you, Li Ye said. After saying that, her face immediately turned slightly red. It's cold outside. Let's go in first. Zhou Zhou extended an invitation. Li Ye hummed softly, and the two of them walked in together. The next day, Zhou Zhou opened his eyes in a daze and saw Li Ye sleeping soundly beside him. He moved slightly and was about to get up, but he implicated the other party. Then, her face turned red at a speed visible to the naked eye. I forgot to pull it out, Zhou Zhou said awkwardly. Li Ye seemed to have shrunk further into herself. Does it still hurt? Let me treat it for you. After Zhou Zhou left, he asked with concern. He had a bunch of skills on him, and there was no lack of healing skills. Healing such a small injury was not a problem at all. Li Ye did not say anything and only nodded lightly. Zhou Zhou was about to treat her, but when he saw her delicate body, his heart warmed. Let's do it again, he suddenly said. Li Ye, be gentle. Zhou Zhou did not say anything and began to plow with all his might. It was late in the morning. Zhou Zhou spent the entire morning before walking out of the bedroom in satisfaction. No one couldn't blame him for taking so long. After all, he was almost 40 years old if he added up both his previous and current life, but he had never had such an experience. It was normal for him to not be able to resist doing it for a while longer. Greetings, my lord. Aliyah and Atli were guarding the door. When they saw Zhou Zhou come out, they immediately greeted him respectfully. Prepare some nourishing delicacies and send them to Li Ye, Zhou Zhou instructed. Yes, my lord, the two girls said respectfully. Zhou Zhou nodded and walked out of the door. Princess Li Ye, do you need to nourish anything recently? This is the first time I've heard the Lord make such a request. By the way, what was that noise last night? It sounded weird. Atli asked curiously. Children shouldn't meddle in the affairs of adults. Aaliyah blushed at that and gave Atli a reproachful look. She was a few years older than Atli, so she knew more things. The sounds from last night almost made her legs go weak and she couldn't stand. Atli pouted, feeling wronged. Who's young? I'm already very old, okay? Zhou Zhou looked at the sunlight outside and sighed. A gentle land, a hero's tomb. This was the first time he had walked out of his residence when it was almost noon in the time he had been in the high continent. It really took a long time. He was still thinking of settling the matter with the Taiyan kingdom today. From tomorrow onwards, I must wake up early every day. Zhou Zhou made up his mind. As for what happened in the Taiyan kingdom, it would depend on whether he could complete it in the remaining time. Even though these 3 days were a rest period, it was better to resolve it as soon as possible. My lord. At this moment, Bai Yun walked over quickly from afar. Please forgive me, my lord. I saw that my lord was busy, so I took the initiative to lead troops to clear the Time Ruins and Monster Ranch. I also summoned the golems in the golem lair. This is the list of loots. Please take a look, my lord. Bai Yun placed her hands on the list of loots and said respectfully. However, he did not know if it was an illusion. Zhou Zhou felt that Bai Yun's gaze seemed to be filled with resentment. Does she know what I was up to last night? She had to. He personally led troops to clean up the monster ranch every day, but he was absent today. When Bai Yun saw this situation, she would definitely come over to inquire. Perhaps she would have heard the voice at that time. When Zhou Zhou thought of this, he could not help but feel helpless. My lord image. Ahem. It's okay. When I don't have time, as the first Legion commander of our Blazing Sun territory, you should naturally be responsible for this matter. Zhou Zhou said. It's my duty to do so. Leah nodded. When Zhou Zhou heard this, his gaze landed on the list of loots. She had obtained a total of 40,123,960 green bronze tier mist cores, 12,000, 3950 white silver tier mist cores, 6,219,875 yellow gold tier mist cores, 3,507,875 white platinum tier mist cores, and 113,600 diamond tier mist cores. There were also 1,217,780 soldier type class change certificates, 95,000 king of yellow gold recruitment books, 95,000 king of yellow gold class change certificates, 40,035 poison crossbow soldier recruitment books, 384 elemental archer recruitment books, 132,200 aurora cavalry recruitment books, 180,000 violent storm spirit recruitment books, 180,000 violent storm spirit class change certificates, 132 proof of legion fragments, 243,984 true faith tier scarlet crystals, 161,105 pious tier scarlet crystals, 129,960 fanatic tier scarlet crystals, 201 white platinum tier and yellow gold tier mount contracts, 60,000 iron-eating bear pet eggs, 60,000 Fear Falcon wings and Type 3 Fear Falcon radar, and 9.5 million units of raw gold. As for loots such as the light drawing crystal, the tree core gem, and the elemental gem, there was no need to elaborate. Zhou Zhou was very satisfied with the list of loots, especially the list of spoils of war of the King of Yellow Gold. What monster ranch does the King of Yellow Gold occupy now? Zhou Zhou suddenly asked. Reporting to my lord. Mugu now controls a total of 34 monster ranches. Among them, the 2 monster ranches of the Desert Fog Lizard, Sword Shield Soldiers, the 2 monster ranches of the Wild Sand Believers, Pudeo Soldiers, and the 3 monster ranches of the Sandmen, Light Drawing Crystals, have all been replaced by the King of Yellow Gold. Zhou Zhou nodded in satisfaction. Mugu was indeed worthy of his lord talent. His thoughts were exactly what he wanted. As a special grade advanced soldier type of the Sword Shield Soldiers, The ability of the King of Yellow Gold could perfectly replace the Sword Shield soldiers and Pudeo soldiers. As for the Sandman that produced the light drawing crystal, with the supreme defense around, the light drawing crystal should naturally withdraw from the historical stage. Have you used up the recruitment books and class change certificate? Zhou Zhou asked. It's used up. We've recruited a total of 447,619 soldiers and upgraded all 95,000 sword shield soldiers in the Blazing Sun Army to the special soldier type, King of Yellow Gold. The total number of soldiers in the Blazing Sun Territory's 3 legions is now 2,457,903. Bai Yun sounded excited when she reported. When Zhou Zhou heard this, he could not help but smile.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.